Brent Smith. I'm
What
gonna
are you
say,
doing,
man?
man?
Happy New Year, bro.
Happy New Year to you too.
Let me ask you this: where in the United States of America is Brent Smith right now?
I'm actually in Knoxville, Tennessee to grab an extra 24 hours with my granny and my mom and my dad that I missed during the holidays because I had to get to Florida to take care of a couple of things with my son. So literally yesterday, it's kind of funny. I flew into a snowstorm and got here. My mom was freaking out because I was about an hour delayed and I didn't have my phone on. So she's like, "Where are you? Are you okay?" I'm like, "I just landed." And but I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee at the moment. But I actually leave tomorrow morning to head to LA because we're getting ready to shoot the video for the first single for the new record. And yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on right now. Sorry for the glitch there. Bill McGathy is trying to call me right now because he didn't look at my schedule and see that I'm on the phone with Klinger.
give Bill my best. Hey,
I will.
I love the fact that you love on your granny so much, and what a wonderful woman.
Oh my God, man!
That says a lot about somebody when they love their family and their grandparents so much. So respect on that. I love it. It gives me goosebumps, dude, to see you on Instagram. Just
she taught me literally, man. She taught me everything that I know about hard work. Like she raised 3 kids on her own, in the 50s. And what have you. She worked for, she was a waitress for, this is crazy when I tell it to people, they don't believe me. But she was a waitress literally for 46 years straight and still lives by herself and, is still very, very independent. And she's made such a huge impact on me just growing up because she gave me my work ethic, and yeah, she does, man. She means the absolute world to me. So ladies and gentlemen, if your granny is still there and she's still with you, or your grandpappy or your grandfather, or your grandmother, I encourage you, not taking anything away from your mom and your dad, but if they're still with you, in physical form, love on them, man. Give them a hug, tell them thank you, because I know my granny, she means the world to me.
Respect on that. There's a list in my mind, a virtual list of bands that are dropping a new record in 2022. Should Shinedown be on that list?
100%.
Say that again.
100%.
Shinedown, new record. Working title is SD7, but
yes. Here's the thing. I'm going to give you, because what are we today? We're January 7th?
7th, yeah.
Okay. You are literally 25 days away from knowing what's getting ready to happen. Actually, you're 25 days away from the launch, if you will, where everything will start to, everybody will start seeing everything. If you go to Shinedown, if you look at our Instagram right now, we, just in case you've been under a rock, we decided that we would create an alphabet. We didn't like the one that we had, so we thought we'd just create our own alphabet. We in the last 2 years during COVID, we had some free time on our hands. So we're like, yeah, let's just come up with an alphabet. So there's a link to all of this. Yeah, just go to Shinedown's Instagram. You'll kind of start seeing some of the things that are going on. But I think that I know how excited I am about what we're getting ready to release. So hopefully the rest of the world is as well.
Let me just do this real quick, bro. I'm at my home studio. Do you see that?
Oh, you got you are the OG, man. You see that? You were there from the beginning, dude.
And it gives me goosebumps again I'm a very emotionally charged and dialed in human being. And it gives me goosebumps to think that there is a 7th record from your band.
You and me both.
For real. Where did you record this? At Eric's studio?
So the interesting thing about number 7 is we built the studio that we recorded it in the midst of the pandemic. Our boy Hoogie, who is our resident Canadian, he, along with 2 incredible construction designers, along with Eric. So Eric, Hoogie, Kenny, and Matt, we started writing in June roughly the beginning of July in 2020. I left California after 28 weeks of quarantine, got to Charleston, started writing the record at that point in time. When we got to September, we knew that because everything was still closed, like studios weren't allowing you just to come in. You know what I mean? You couldn't just walk into a studio or book time. So when we did Attention, the 6th album, we did that at Eric's studio. That was more of a commercial studio that had been there for about a decade in Charleston. Well, Attention was the last thing recorded there. And then he sold that spot. And then we went on a 3-year tour. Well, he bought a new house, put this kind of home studio, very just kind of soundboard, couple of things here and there that we needed with Pro Tools. So we only had like a little kind of closeted room. And we just looked at each other right around the last part of September, October of 2020 and said, let's just build it. And so 18 months later, we had built a studio. And it was not 18 months later. I'm being crazy. 8 months later, we had built this. It was crazy, man. It was nuts.
I think I've seen a lot of it on his IG. The band's. I saw a video of Barry setting up his drum set like outside.
One of the we recorded 2 songs on the record, and we did it outside using the ambience of like the just like old school tricks. But with the studio, we basically had a pretty good portion of the songs written at the time, so we just shifted the mindset of everything, and built a studio from the ground up on his property. And then when we brought Doug McKean in from LA, who had been an engineer who had worked with us on Sound of Madness, on Amaryllis, and on Attention. And then Mike Fasano, who was one of Barry's like guys that's been with him in the studio, does a lot of the drum teching when we're doing the studio records. Him and Doug came to the studio in Charleston. They had come with us before when we did Attention. And Doug just like fell in love with the studio environment just in general, because he was like, he's been to every single studio all over the world, but he was a little concerned because it's a little smaller, but like it was really cool to have a guy like him come in and be like, I wouldn't want to record anywhere else than here. Dude. So it was like the fact that it had been built a certain way, that it was all custom. Like we didn't pull, I should say Eric didn't pull anything that was pre-manufactured. Every single thing in the studio was built by hand.
And you're happy, right? I mean, did you record the majority? Did you do the
recorded all
heavy lifting?
Recorded the whole record in it.
We haven't heard Shinedown's new music yet. You've probably do you listen to? I mean, do you have all the recording done?
Yes, all the recording's done. All the mastering is done. Actually, Eric just finished up
dude.
It's cool because Andrew Sheps, who's an incredible mixer, has mixed like all your favorite records. Eric mixed the record in stereo. But so there's a new version of kind of like a new experience of listening to music called Atmos that some people are finding out about. Well, Andrew mixed the record with Eric through Atmos, because you have to have these different speakers to do this. So that's been a really interesting thing that's been going on as well. But record is mixed and mastered, ready to go. Vinyl's already getting pressed. Man, we're ready to rock and roll. It's just, like I said, you're about 21 days away.
How many times have you listened to the record? I mean, do you keep it on your phone? Is it always, are you listening to it constantly just to get into it? And you also probably, with your tour that you guys announced a couple of weeks ago, you got to learn the friggin' songs, dude, right?
Yeah. The thing is that it used to be one of those elements for me, because I'm the main lyricist in the band. So I still write everything down. I don't do text when I'm writing or like type on a computer. I still have to go, pen to paper. There's something about that for me. 90% of the time, if I'm writing the lyrics, I'll start to retain it anyway. But then you figure out what's going to go on the record. You write a lot of songs and then whatever makes the record. So in answer to your question, yes, I've been listening to it nonstop, because it does have to kind of turn into muscle memory before you even get to the first rehearsal with the new material. A lot of the the back catalog, or the catalog that I'm used to singing, that kind of stays with me. But listen, I've had moments on stage where like I've forgotten the lyrics, like the second verse to Sound of Madness before.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the lyrics to some things, like, you just get, depending on, like, it's 7 records. We're getting ready to release our 28th single as a band. So some of that stuff is very, you have to humble yourself with realizing that you still have to practice. You still have to do it. It does become muscle memory, but you still got to do it. Like, repetition is key.
That's so interesting. And really interesting as how you retain it, the new songs, because these are new songs. And I always wonder that, like, they're still pretty damn new to you. So that's cool how that process kind of allows you to dial into that muscle memory. That's, to me, it's interesting as hell.
Yeah, for me, it's just like being an athlete. You have to practice. But the other element of that too, like my son just turned 14, and
oh my God, dude.
Turned 14 and is about 4 inches taller than me. And so that's unique. But like the beautiful thing about my son is that he has no interest in what I do. And I love that. Actually, he's very much about the NBA, and he's very much about basketball, like, all the time. But we have these conversations now, because he's older, where we talk about how being nervous before a game, or being nervous, like when I walk on stage, he asked me, he's like, do you still get nervous when you walk up there? And I'm like, absolutely. I would be worried if I didn't get nervous, because it lets you know you're alive. So the other element of that with him in sports is, like, it's great to be awesome in practice and do drills and all those fundamental things, but can you win the game? Can you be a team player? Can you bring your team to victory? You know what I mean? There's also an element of, like, when you get up there, the audience spent their hard-earned money, to see you perform. So that's another thing too, where you have to kind of learn that separation between, like, being the artist and being the performer, and also being responsible to the audience that is giving you the platform that you have. So for me, I'm very, very respectful of the reality. People like yourself that have been there from day one, you've always allowed us to be ourselves. But we've often said, we have one boss in this band. It just happens to be everybody in the audience. So they don't deserve anything less than whatever your 100% is. Give them that, and try to give them an extra 10 if you can.
I'll tell you right now, if there is somebody that's going to be watching this interview that has never seen a Shinedown show, and may wonder if that is the truth, that's 100% the truth. And I feel like all 4 of you guys in that band, when you're on stage and the lights go out, it's 1,000 miles an hour. And it is the way you guys perform is on point, but you're so respectful I appreciate you mentioning, the people that spent, dude, that paycheck to buy a hoodie, to buy some merch, to buy a concert ticket. Maybe they bump their ticket up to a VIP and get to meet you guys. Like, that's a lot of money, dude. And you don't take that, you don't take that for granted. And I appreciate that. And you see that at a Shinedown show, bro.
And you got to think about it like this too. People, not everybody, depending on the age group, but like, you have to pay for the babysitter, to go out. You know what I mean? Then you got to think about, you got to park. Then you got the tickets, you've got the service charge, you walking in, you've got, if you want concessions, if you want to, buy a beer or a Coke, or if you're on a date with someone, if there's more than just one of you in the party, do you want a t-shirt? Do you want to buy music there? Things of that nature. Like, you have to think about, like, what it costs for somebody to go out on any given night, even if they were just solo and it was just them, like, how much money it costs and what you're asking of people. So the way that I look at that is, you should show up no matter what every single night, and give people your 100%, man, because it might be the 1,000th time that you have sung a song, or, with my son, like, thrown a pass, or, ran yards, dude, whatever it is. For you, it might be something that you do all the time. But like with a show, I'm always thinking of the person. I try to make sure that the person in the front row is getting what they want, but the person all the way in the back is getting the same, somehow is getting the same experience. So you have to think about it like that. You have a responsibility to perform.
Do you have one song that on any given night is going to make that set list and you know it's coming? Let's say it's the fifth or sixth song in, and you
Yeah.
cannot wait to sing that Shinedown song.
Yeah.
Is there one that, or a couple that you just love as much as we do?
I think that like recently, one of those songs definitely in the last 3 years, because the Attention record was released in 2018. So definitely Get Up is a moment in the show that I look forward to. Over time, probably the song that I always look forward to, not because a lot of times it's the last song in the set. I know people are like, oh yeah, you look forward to it because it's the last one. Like, no, it's not because of that. It's because it kind of, I've been asked before, like if you had no choice and you had to like pick one song that kind of represented the band live, but also just kind of represented the band. And I've said before, like that would probably be the song, The Sound of Madness. That always like lights people up. So, and a lot of times too, Sound of Madness is either the first song in the set or it's kind of the finale song in the set. But interestingly enough, we're thinking about taking Sound of Madness and putting it in the middle of this new set because we have all these new songs and we have all these new kind of things. But Get Up is always a fun moment in the show. Sound of Madness is always kind of like a hair-raising moment in the show. And kind of the like explosive song with the audience is kind of like in the middle over the years because we kind of light everybody up with it. Is Enemies. Like that's a big pyro song. It's a big jump song with the audience, those kinds of things. So you always look forward to those moments.
I love that. How long is it headlining? I mean, because your tour, dude, I know where you're going to be this summer. You're going to be in a bus actually, are you going to be pulling a trailer filled with instruments, or is it a tractor trailer that goes out with you guys?
So for April and May, that we're doing with the lovely Taylor Momsen and the Pretty Reckless.
Dude, you know what? Props on that.
We're stoked.
Band is effing on fire, and I love it. What a great combination.
Yeah, the other thing too is they've not been able to play live in like 4 years. So like, you know, me and Taylor had a conversation a few weeks ago, just kind of getting to know one another because I've never met her before. I'm a huge fan of the band and I've wanted to be able to do this for a while. And she's rad, but she's so looking forward to the tour. And also bringing in another incredible woman, Diamante, and bringing them in to everything. So for that particular tour, it's actually, for just us, it's 4 buses and 7 semis. So just if everybody was wondering if we were bringing anything.
What do I say to that, dude?
Once again, man, you got to give them, you know, we're trying to, you know, make sure that people get their money's worth, man.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I am so amped up because when you know a band like Shinedown or a band that you love is in the lab making a new record, the band tends to go on radio silence. The website still looks like the old one, right? You don't do a lot to it, which I understand, but there's like, you don't hear anything. And then as that record gets finished, bands pop up, look around, give you a little nugget, and you just get so excited. And sometimes I get excited because I know the silence is like, oh, well, they're damn creating some badass shit.
Hopefully they're fingers crossed.
Yeah. And so you're coming out of that tunnel, bro, of just silence. And I am so excited about, I mean, for any band to have a 7th record is huge, is a big ass deal, man.
Yeah, it's interesting the silence aspect of it. To the public, it may be silent, but to us, you know, we have 2 machines in a lot of ways. Like you have the studio and you have the live aspect. So you never turn one of them off completely. You put one on standby, and then you turn the other one full tilt. But definitely, what we've been doing this time around too. Probably one of the most ambitious schedules we've ever put together, just from a marketing standpoint, from a touring standpoint, because we're also having to navigate still, you know, entering year 3 with what I've basically come to find out is like, how many variants will it be this year that we have to kind of figure out how to maneuver? You know what I mean? Because we're not going to stop what we do. We're educated. We know what we're doing. We've been very, we've made sure that we've done everything in our power to be as respectful as we can about all of the different situations, but we still have to make sure that society is moving forward. And that's what we need to be doing here. So, look, we're making sure that what we're getting ready to present to the public is built in the ideology of triumph. And what I mean by that is, like, as human beings, we all know that, listen, if anybody wants to know who the boss really is, her name is Mother Nature. She's undefeated. And you kind of have to like work with her. But the thing is, as long as you're respectful of that, we can move forward.
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
We're 25 days away from the big, can I call it a launch?
Yeah, it's a launch.
I mean, we're going to get all the details. I can't wait to hear the first song.
Yeah, I'm sure. I bet everybody in management, my record label would be extremely mad at me if I gave you the date on everything.
Oh, no. I don't want you to. Actually, I kind of want you to do that, but I don't want you to do that. Well, hey, everything. I can tell you that you're gonna know a lot on the number 2 and the number 6 of January, if that gives anybody a hint. I appreciate that hint.
You're welcome.
What is the one thing Brent Smith does every single day, integral part? And I know the answer to this, but I want, in case people are seeing a conversation with you for the very first time, if they don't follow you on social media, what is an integral part of every way you start that day, man?
Recently, because my son did turn 14 and now he has an opinion, which is interesting. I am kind of doing this, I'm doing this thing now where as soon as I wake up, I text him, hey, I love you. Have a great day, and making sure that he knows that out of the gate. So that's something that's a big part of me. But like the biggest thing for me is, and you kind of know where I'm going with this, is got to make sure that I sweat. I got to make sure that I work out. Like that clears everything out. The gym or a mountaintop or whatever I got to do to be physical, it helps clear out my mind to get focused for the day. It makes sure that everything in here is firing on all cylinders and that I can be productive and that, I'm taking the initiative. It's preventative medicine, man. You got to take care of yourself. That's kind of like the big thing. And then just an ungodly amount of emails and phone calls, like especially right now, it's insane. And see, when I get to do this with my friend, because this is just like, we're chatting. We've known each other for a while. So I just feel like I'm just hanging out with my boy. But anytime that I can do this, it's, it makes me smile. But there's a lot of things with me. I have to separate a lot of times too. Sorry for the little glitch there. I have to separate the business with the performance and the creative. So like a lot of times with me, I need to get all the fundamental business out of the way, because when I go on tour, people will find this interesting, or they'll be like, oh, he's just lazy. It's not that I'm lazy. It's that sleep is a very big deal for me because of what I do for a living on the road. So like, I can't be on 1,000 phone calls when I'm on the road. I can't talk all day long, especially if I'm doing 5 shows a week. Like my instrument is my voice. So I have to make sure that I got it ready. So that's kind of like the big thing, is my prep time is a lot for me to be able to be creative, but also get the business done so that once I'm on the road, I know that that's kind of moving in the way that it should, because at the end of the day, I have to perform. So a lot of scheduling with me.
I only a couple more questions. I know that you got to go. Do you sing every day, or do you vocalize every day? Do you warm your voice up every day? What are you doing? Because like 20 years in, man, your voice doesn't sound any different. If not, maybe if it does, if it sounds a little bit better. And that,
Well, you're very kind.
well, I'm not bullshitting you. There's got to be a tremendous amount of work to keep that voice strong, right?
What's interesting is, once again, talking is completely different than singing. So like I'm loud. I know I'm loud. Like you can hear me 2 miles away. Like, I'm surprised that the phone hasn't rang in this hotel room I'm in right now, because I'm loud. The reason that I am like, why I kind of like vocalize is from starting playing in clubs when I was like 13, 14 years old. And there was like, I have, now we have state-of-the-art in-ears and things where like you can hear everything the way that you need to and what have you.
Okay.
But when I was growing up and I was coming up, like you would be lucky if you had one monitor where the tweeter was blown out and maybe the speaker worked. So like you had to learn how to sing loud, like to get over all the instruments, So the other dynamic of that for me and my voice is that when I'm talking, you actually, when you're talking, you can really beat your vocal cords up way more than if you go on stage, but you didn't talk all day long. You warmed yourself up. You walk on stage and you got like all your range and all your technique. Because when you're talking to somebody, you're not going through all these different scales and doing all these different things. It's kind of linear. That actually is way more, it's harder on your voice talking all day long than it is necessarily walking on stage, doing a proper warm up and then singing for 2 hours. So you just learn over the years, like what you're capable of doing and what you're not capable of doing, because everybody's voice is also different. So some people can talk all day long and then they can get on stage and they can sing. How they do it, I'll never know. One of the guys that does that and his voice is spot on every single time, yet he can still do all the business on tour and stuff like that, is Sully Erna from Godsmack. He's like mind-blowing to me that he can do all the business and then he goes up there and he can just thrash it. I'm not that way. Like I have to figure out what works for me. But it just depends on the individual. Right now, I try to have a cutoff time speaking, no later, because I'm dealing with time zones right now. Actually, the video director for the brand new single is actually coming from Belgium. So I've been, working with him on a 7-hour delay. But I try to be done by 10 o'clock at night. Okay. Like, I'm done.
And you're just,
Yeah, just like I can text you, I can email you, but I'm done at 10. When I go out on the road, it's a completely different schedule. It just depends on the person. And I know how people look at lead singers are like, these guys and girls are just total prima donnas. And it's not necessarily like that. It's just, I can't plug my instrument up. Like if I drop a stick, I can't grab another one. You know what I mean? Or if I break a string, I can't throw my guitar, give me another guitar. You know what I mean? But once again, that's my responsibility as a singer to know what I'm capable of doing so that when it's showtime, I'm ready to go.
I got 2 questions left for you.
Yeah, man.
How many microphones did you use, vocal mics, on the new record?
2.
And have those mics been on other Shinedown records for you? Are they favorites of yours?
Yeah, they actually are. We used Eric would kill me right now because I've sang on this mic so much and I can't remember the name of it. There is there's a European company. It's a very interesting looking mic. It's not a tube mic. It's a ribbon mic, but it just handles my voice really, really well. It was actually kind of Frankenstein together in a way also. But it's I believe it's a company out of Amsterdam that built this mic for Eric. I can't for the life of me remember the name of the mic. And they now sell what used to be the Frankenstein version, kind of like a prototype in a way. They sell that model now. I'll have to figure out what it's called. I'm sorry, everybody. But that mic in specific, and then for the tube mic stuff, which is more kind of for the ballads, you want kind of like a thicker, a bit more of an analog sound. I use a ridiculously priced Telefunken mic. That's something like, it's from the 70s. Eric's had it for Eric's had it for a long time. I can't exactly remember what model it is, but I actually didn't use it on this new record a bunch. I only used it on like 2 songs, I believe, that actually made the record. The rest of the time, man, I just used that Frankenstein mic.
You know, I like that you brought up Telefunken. And I know you got to go. I'll make this quick, but I bought maybe 2 years ago a 1956 Telefunken stereo console like your grandparents used to have.
Yeah.
And I had it hot rodded out with some cool stuff and tube amps, but it is a Telefunken, and I got it downstairs just to listen to vinyl on it, and it's just so cool.
Oh,
so
dude, that company is extraordinary. That company still today has a super high level of their output is still exactly the same as when they first started. Like Neumann, Telefunken, Neve consoles, things of that nature. That stuff doesn't go out of style because that stuff is badass.
This is my final question for my buddy Brent Smith. It's a 2-part question, and I'll make it quick.
Yeah,
how many songs?
Sorry
how many
about the
songs?
train.
How many songs did Shinedown record for the new record, and how many are going to make it on that record? Because you tend to go overboard, and you want to make sure that you've got a big stable to choose from, right?
Right.
So how many do you think you did?
If I'm not mistaken, I think we did close to, I want to say we did close to 28 songs that we wrote. And then there are technically, I think there's 13 actual songs on the new record. I'm trying to remember exactly how many is in there. But the interesting thing about the new record is that there's going to be 20 tracks. So you'll have to like kind of, chew on that for a moment of what we've done. I think we did 13 on the actual record. But the thing is also too, is we don't use the term demo anymore. So, because what we do in Shinedown is when we're writing a song, we don't quote unquote demo it out, which for some people, a demo used to be this thing where you may have only been able to get the idea of the song down on like a pre-recorded thing that's just maybe an acoustic guitar, the melody, and you could present that to a producer or to the record label, and you had people in the label that could see what it could be. You know what I mean? Once you got in the studio, but like the song was there. It's kind of the approach of, it's the Quincy Jones method, which is like when someone plays you a song on a piano and they got all these chords and variations and everything, and it's like, it sounds really, really cool. Can you play it a little simpler? And then that person takes some of the notes out and what have you. And he's like, cool, can you play it even simpler? You just play the chords. Awesome. Can you play it even simpler? And they're like, my God, man. So you take
God, man.
Yeah, like you just take the inversions out, you know what I mean? And then this is kind of like where he hits the home run. He asks that person, can you play it with one finger? You know what I mean? Because it's built into the melody. So with that being said, demos upon demos upon demos upon demos to finally get it into the room where everybody can hear the finished product. That's all fine and good. But you learn over the years that if you're going to present it to them and they're really going to be able to get it, present it to them done. So so that they don't have to like overthink it. Because what used to happen also when bands started being able to record stuff with drum machines and doing loops and Pro Tools and all that, they could turn something into the label and they'd be like, this sounds amazing. We should just put it out now. And you're like, no, wait. You're like, that's just the demo. And they're like, yeah, I know, but it sounds awesome. So now the way that we look at that is when we go in and write a song, we're going into it to kind of present it to you the way we hear it. And a lot of times, man, maybe not all the music, because sometimes we won't have Barry to do all the drums right away. So we have to kind of program a couple of things. Okay. But the last 2 records, man, like 85% of the last 2 records we've done, you're hearing what is quote unquote the demo vocal. you know, because I've gone in and I've sung it with this like newness and this freshness that you're not going to get the same guy in that performance. Now, granted, if like I can sing it better, and I know I can sing it better, I'll go in and try to beat the demo. If I beat it, cool. If I don't, you still have the demo. But we don't even use the term demo anymore.
Dude, that's such old school shit.
Yeah, I gave way too much stuff here that people are probably like, I have no idea where he's going.
No, that's why I love a conversation with you. And I try to ask a couple of questions that dig a little deeper, and so that you can pull those curtains back. So I don't think anybody is going to think, oh man, this is kind of a boring part of the conversation. I am fascinated by that. So
it's just over the years, man, you know, that word demo, I used to cringe, like, you know, because our boy, you know, Steve Robertson from Atlantic Records, who's been our A&R from day one. Guy's been with us for 20 years. You know, same thing with Mr. Bill McGathy and everybody at Indigo. Like, I used to cringe when they would be like, let's do a demo. I'd be like, ah! You know what I mean? It's just like, but you learn that through time also. Like me, you know, the band and Steve, or Steve-O in the industry. I can't call him Steve-O. That's just Steve to me. Anyway. Steve, like Steve and Bill, like we've learned that with each other. Like the band, you know, our label, our manager, we've learned these things as we've gone forward. That's another thing too, you know, to be 20 years into the same manager and a band with the same record label, you know, that's something that we take very, very seriously because it's not normal.
You guys have staying power, and it sounds like I'm talking about like some little blue pill commercial or something like that. I'm dead serious, man. You continue to deliver music, and not just the radio singles, dude. Music that we can go start to finish on records of yours that are great all the way through. And I can't wait. And I'm so thankful for your time. Thank you for the Merry Christmas text on Christmas.
Hey man, got nothing but love for you and your family, my man, and a happy new year, by the way.
Likewise, thank you very much, and I'm so excited that this year will be the year of another Shinedown record.
Some a lot touring. Of great records, by the way. Just my guys and girls, you know, from other projects, like a lot of great records are coming out this year. Like Brent, but like there's so many. There are so many artists that are bringing some serious fire this year with new material. Like I'm excited for this year. It's going to be a great year just for music in general.
Dude, your boys in Godsmack set up shop in South Florida and took it away from Massachusetts, and hopefully they will put out a record. Papa Roach. I mean, it's gonna be a good year for music, dude.
You know, Five Finger Death Punch. I know Slipknot's working on new material. You know, we're obviously coming out with. There's a lot of stuff. Like a lot of great records are going to come out this year.
Looking forward to it, and I can't wait to see the four of you on a stage somewhere in the United States of America, man.
Awesome, man. I'll see you soon, my friend. Much love to you as always.
Likewise, Brent. Thanks for the time, my man.
All right, partner. See you later.